tables. And I was like, man, that kind of looks like my Linux box, these IP tables. And he says, nah, this software we use is based on pfSense. And I was like, really? So I was like, I really think I might have heard of that. Let me go check it out. It's BSD based. So they took the BSD based and they made it so, Fortune 500 companies are using this, and people making firewalls for devices are embedding this stuff in and putting their own little flavor on top.
Really?
And besides the ease of use GUI, if you like to get down and dirty, go for it. SSH in, and you can do anything on the command line as you can on the GUI, So it just the sheer power, but the ease of use for most small, technicians, unless you want to specialize in firewalls, which might not be a bad business to start expanding into, because a lot of small companies really don't know what a firewall is. They just see all these big companies getting hacked into, and they want to make sure they're okay.
Right.
So this is something you could add on as a feature to your company, building these little nice, like we're talking, this is where a little micro ITX would work great. There's just small,
Right.
And just have 2-3 NICs in it. Or if you're not concerned about the power, go get that P4 Dell in your closet and put 3 NICs in it and have an in and out, and even a DMZ for a web server and FTP server.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I was at the requirements for this, even less than FreeNAS. A 100 megahertz Pentium processor, 128 megabytes of RAM.
Wow.
This I think I could run on my electric shaver that I obviously do not use.
All right. Well, I think we helped out Bad Sector 486. And then there's also Untangle, which does similar functions.
I was still am, I guess, legally a partner with Untangle. I have sold 3-4 of them to customers that are still in production. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Untangle. There's a lot of good features with Untangle. I just really like pfSense, the flexibility and what I can do with it. And I can brand it as me if I want to also, where Untangle, it is pretty much branded Untangle pretty much across the way. Whereas me, I can brand it as me with not having to worry. And then that instantly turns me as into the expert and my company as in the expert instead of me just selling somebody else's expertise.
I gotcha.
Well, here's my question, Tracy. I know in Untangled, a certain percentage of the add-ons, plugins, whatever, apps you can install are pay apps. I don't know.
Anything you'll really need to use is free in Untangle. It's that where the pay for Untangle comes in is you can get an added-on Kaspersky virus scanning liner. By default, I believe it uses Clam AV. In the inline scanner. You can add on Kaspersky to that. You can add on backup config files, kind of similar to ClearOS, where if anything happens, you just put another box in, click here, all your config files come down, and you're up and running in minutes, with a whole new box. So that's where, and then they add on, one of the companies wanted it and then they paid for the remote control. What you can do with that Untangle box is you can have the VPN and everything like that, but it has like a VNC built into it where all these people can remote into their own desktops at work. And there was like 6 of them, I think, but so all 6 can remote into their desktops at work, kind of like a log me in type deal, through this software also. So that's part of the paid. It adds on features, but for most people, the free open part of it will work just fine.
Huh.
Gotcha. Well, is there paid plugins or thing for pfSense, or is that free?
Yes. Okay. There's a few pay ones out there. Most of them are free. I think some of the pay ones are, if I remember, one of them has a really nice, some of them have the same thing, might be a free and a pay one. Like I think one of them is an Active Directory plugin where it'll seamlessly open up, VPN ports for authentication through your Active Directories and stuff like that. I think that's one of them, but I think there's an open one to that too, a free one. But there is some you pay for some of those plugins. And with the new pfSense coming out, that came out, the version 2, I think that came out, it's it's nice, and you're going to start seeing a ton of plugins coming out here in the next 3 to 6 months for pfSense.
Really?
Gotcha.
Very cool. Thank you guys for that answer. You didn't even give me a chance to say what my answer was going to be in the beginning.
I just copied from your notes. So
it would have been nothing as good as what you guys just heard. All right, this is from Peter. He says, "Hey, Dor, I know you have recommended GR Sync and GNOME Schedule as a backup tool before, but I don't recall if you've ever mentioned Lucky Backup. It's a great little all-in-one app for doing scheduled backups. I've just started using it, but so far everything's going fine. Check it out." That's from Peter. Did you guys ever hear that?
I ain't gonna lie, I never heard of it.
Me neither.
Did you, Tracy?
No, what I use is one, I think it's called Deja Vu for Linux. I think that's what it's called. Am I right? Deja Vu?
Deja Dupe.
Yeah, thank you. I knew it was something like that. I use that one. I used the one he used for a long time, and very good. I don't know why I switched, to be honest. I don't know if one's better than the other. I think the Deja Dupe is prettier, but I don't think that had nothing to do with it. I think I tried it once and just kept it. And since I keep my config files when I reload and stuff, usually it's already configured, so I don't have to reconfigure anything. So that's probably the reasoning. But yes, the one he's using is very good. I think Deja Dupe does a little better job backing up over a network drive without having to hack too much and do some research. It's almost plug and play almost, but yeah, that's the one the one he mentioned is great also.
Cool.
Gotcha. I ain't gonna lie, I never heard of it. Maybe the name Lucky Backup might have turned some people off, but I'll say this. Looking at the interface, this is like silly, deep, detailed, configurable kind of backup. The one thing I like about it, I really see, is you can automate the emailing of a summary of the backup, whether it passed or failed, the date, the time, what profile was used. That alone is really cool. I really like the idea of that. I don't know if you can do that in Deja Dupe.
Not sure.
Now that I get more deeply in my memory, I think the Lucky Backup was faster. I mean, because my attitude is always, the simpler the better for me. So I like things that are really simple and fast. That's why I'm a Puppy fan. And Lucky Backup, I believe, is a little more faster because it opens up faster and everything like that. So if you're a speed person like me, you might want to steer towards Lucky instead of Deja Dupe.
Cool.
Gotcha. And yeah, Deja Dupe is going to be coming standard on a lot of distributions here in the next year. But I'll say this looks like it might be really good for like small business kind of things. I want to take a little bit of time to actually dig into this one. I just want to learn about it.
All right.
So that's a very good email there.
Peter.
Peter. Thank you. I knew that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I didn't know.
Next one's from Jim. Hi, I love the show. I learn something every episode. It occurred to me that I can actually give something back to the show. It's a simple trick for pronouncing Sousa. Just remember, Sousa, like Porsche, is from Germany. You say the E like You'd say Porsche, you wouldn't say Porsche or Porsche. So Sousa is Porsche. So Sousa is Sousa. Hope that helps. And that is from Jim. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate all pronunciation emails, though don't send us tons of them, guys.
Matter of fact, I think that's the first question I ever asked Joe Brockmeyer. He's a huge blogger out there, but he used to be the SUSE community manager. And I think that's the first question I ever asked him was, what's the correct pronunciation? Because I know he was talking to the people there. And yeah, that's right. So
okay, we got it from the source, or a good source. All right, last one is from Pete. He says, just a short note to tell you I was able to get my printer installed on my Mint 11. Wait, is this the one? No, this is different. Is this the one, Dor? Okay, I'm just going to read it. I don't know.
Okay.
Just a short note to tell you I was able to get my printer installed on my Mint 11 system. I do have a few more questions that you could shine some light on. Is there a difference in support depending on which distribution that a person would install? I.e., is there more or less support for Ubuntu than Mint, for example? 2, are repositories geared... Wow, he's got 6 questions here. 2, are repositories geared up to only offer programs for one distribution, i.e. one for Mint, one for Ubuntu, one for Red Hat? All right, let's just go through them one by one. We'll do like rapid fire. This is the rapid fire section of the show. Number 1, is there a difference in support depending on which distribution that a person would install, i.e. is there more or less support for Ubuntu than Mint, for example? Guys?
Yes and no. It's kind of a loaded question. If you're talking server hardware, then there's probably less support if you go to install Mint. If it's desktop end user hardware, if you go to install Red Hat, it probably has less support. So, you got to think along those lines too. If you want to talk strictly desktop support versus like OpenSUSE, Ubuntu, Mint, Mandriva, Puppy, keep going. They all have seems a little bit of different support. A lot of it though is based in the kernel, I'll say, and it's like how they decide to have the kernel. Like with SUSE, there's certain printers you can just plug in and it just works. In other distributions, you might have to go download something. So it's really hard to say. The best tip I can say, if you're brand new to Linux, try different distributions until you find one that supports your hardware completely out of the box. And if you have any issues with that, don't hesitate. Shoot us an email. Would you say that's true, Tracy?
Yes, exactly. If I had to pick one that had the most support, I think I read a blog article about a week ago. The latest SUSE just basically blew everybody away with the amount of printers and scanners that it supported. So if I had to pick one, I think SUSE would be the one that has the most. But now that I said that, I've never really had an issue plugging a printer in, to the Ubuntu or Mint box and it not working. Okay. So the only time I would ever have any issues with some weird brothers or those I don't know how to pronounce it, the Kyocera, KY, whatever that one is. I had to download a module, but that one just might have been there for SUSE, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Cool. Thank you, guys. We're going to go through these. We're going to continue to go through these. And this is from Stop and Go Man in the chat room there. I see him in the chat. I don't know if he's actually sitting there with us. Number 2, are repositories geared up only to offer programs for one distribution, i.e. one for Mint, one for Ubuntu, one for Red Hat, etc.?
As far as I know, a repository is strictly geared towards a distribution and a version of a distribution, unless it's a rolling distro, different story. I don't know of a single repository that is purposely geared to host multiple OSs. But then again, if you have Ubuntu and then a version of Ubuntu like Pingai or IQ Unix, they're not that different, so they can use some of the same stuff. Do you know of any, Tracy, where there's like one repo geared for more than one distribution?
No, I think at one time, way back when, Pac-Man repository had some stuff, but it was all kind of the same flavor, but it said, hey, this one, Debian, this one, is Ubuntu, and this one is this other one over here. But I don't know of any that kind of, there might be the same parent company, the same John's repos, but underneath there's going to be different subsections, for SUSE, Ubuntu, and like Doris said, besides the different distros, the different versions in the distro because of all the dependencies.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Next question. Are the commands that you type in at the command prompt the same for each distro, or are they different?
I think that's kind of a loaded question, too. And I'll say, here's the reason why. In my experience, in easy 80+% of the commands you can type in version A of Linux are the exact same you can type in version B of Linux. Right now, though, currently how I use my computer, 80% of the commands I type are specific to this distribution because I use a lot of package management from the command line, and package managers are typically geared towards distros. So